thought you really just liked the shorts.
That happened like 5 minutes into us being here. So
No, I remember you mentioning the shorts, but I didn't follow the conversation through to the point where I realized they were the actual
you were
same
busy.
shorts. I thought you just liked them.
Tyler and Joe are wearing the same fucking shorts.
They're very similar.
So, welcome to Jacob V Weekly. We are in the Cat Hair Beat Lab with Blinded by Stereo.
Hello.
This is Blinded by Stereo.
This is Blinded by
Crazy.
Stereo.
You know, I see
you
you
don't
guys
get to hear the
posters
intro.
everywhere.
I like the intro jam.
Yeah, it played like
I
10
wanna
minutes
hear
ago.
it.
I don't have a speaker hooked up. I didn't want anything to
But you don't edit. What are we gonna do?
No. I'll edit this one because we're not
Okay.
live. We had to edit the other one because we didn't do it live either.
Okay.
It'll go out immediately,
Yeah.
but I'll click. I have to
Copy that. I'm
Joe-
not questioning. You got it.
Joe, could you patronize us a little bit more about the posters?
No, I'm serious. I do. You guys are like town famous.
Yeah, we're real big amongst the rental car community.
We're big in the rental car community.
We're
There's
huge,
no doubt.
way up top the ladder too. Enterprise is based here, and they're
The execs are coming, right?
Yeah, they're the primary benefactor really in this whole equation.
Yeah.
Um,
That and Levi's khakis.
yeah, that and
Cargo shorts.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Things don't make sense. This is what mental illness looks like, people.
Agreed.
So here we are now. So Matt, you and I were talking a little bit. Now I'm here with Eric and Matt and Tyler, and of course, as always, Joe is here. And we're actually all in a band. Joe's not in the band, but the rest of us are in a band. And I got to book this whole weekend at the Heavy Anchor. We're launching our Patreon tomorrow night, July 23rd, at the Heavy Anchor with my usual band, and then we kind of get to play our first kind of rock show. I kind of joined this band during COVID,
Yeah.
right? And so, and kind of well into it. It was definitely summertime.
I think it's been a year, right?
Oh, it's definitely been a year
Yeah.
since, because a year ago we were at Sawhorse,
You're still learning the song names.
Yeah.
and
No, so we started, Eric and I started the band in October of 2019. And so,
pre-COVID.
yeah. And so kind of by the time we found Tyler and really had enough material down and were solid enough to start gigging, COVID happened. And so we started recording, and then that's kind of where stuff starts to come through, where it's like, something's missing. And the three of us were kind of talking about how we needed that fourth element to kind of bring some melodic stuff to it. And so Eric mentioned he knew a guy.
I
and,
know a guy.
That's exactly how it went.
Mm-hmm.
And we met our buddy Jake. So,
Me, yeah, great. So, how do you guys describe? Because I guess we've been promoting the show, and so how do you guys kind of describe let's get the genre part out of the way, kind of what the music sounds like, because it's not like we've been able to gig it into the ground, and the album we talked about is not out yet.
Mm-mm.
It's in the works.
Yeah, so power pop, garage sound is kind
Yeah.
of what we're going for. I'd say pop is probably the heavier influence.
Yeah.
Up tempo, shit you can dance to. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, didn't we come up with some sort of a term
I
for
think
it?
Power Pop was
Thin
just
and
the,
poorly
the
executed.
simple one.
I thought.
Well, yeah, that's
That's
I remember
high octane power pop.
High
High
octane.
octane
There you go.
power pop.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about the show Saturday because I think the two bands will complement each other really well. There'll be cool guitars. There will be loud drums. I think they'll sound good, but
No Ibanez?
There'll be what?
Ibanez?
Why not?
I don't know. You said cool guitar, so I was thinking of...
Yeah, we'll do a fan fret thing. You know what I mean? Whatever you need. So let's talk about some of the stuff a little bit. I think a big part of the audience of the show are people that know me from Guitar Gear kind of stuff and whatnot. And I definitely have a lot of drummers that listen to the show that love things like vintage Ludwig kits and whatnot. So let's test that out a little bit. We want to start making it a habit to kind of talk about these things. So what are some of the sounds you guys kind of look for when you're playing in a band context? I know Eric likes a snare drum from the bottom of the ocean.
Not really.
Loose and wet
What?
with a
Rusty snare on the bottom, the cat skin.
A rusty snare bottom. That sounds like a sex term.
It's actually where we're playing our next show.
Oh, the rusty snare bottom.
Yeah.
So we're literally in my basement looks like Sanford and Son right now, but like if you had, I'm sure there's rooms like this at Record Exchange, right? Full of just kind of
Yeah, but
hodgepodge of
not this
everything.
kind of quality.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Top shelf stuff over here.
No, at Record Exchange, you can get bottom of the barrel turntable at the top line price.
Yeah. Full retail.
How much is that one? Oh,
Yeah.
that's $350.
One thing I posted on Instagram when we were at Sawhorse making this record, and I want to talk about Sawhorse a little bit too, is your Ludwig kit that I took the picture of for Instagram. What is that one again? The one that we recorded all those songs on? I think it was the black oystery one.
Oh, that's a Slingerland kit.
Slingerland kit.
Yeah, it's a 64 Slingerland.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. And then cymbals, usually, are you always kind of on the same
I have
thing?
the same cymbals I've had for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I use a pair of late 60s hi-hat Zildjians,
Mm-hmm.
2 Paiste crash cymbals that were prototypes, and so they're one-offs.
Yeah.
And I use a Zildjian ride, dark K ride.
And then, so I feel like there's kind of a retro kind of vibe amongst the gear or kind of the tones that we're using in general, and that I'm trying to talk up a little bit here. So, one of those things, I think, kind of the signature tone of the record is going to be your SG, Matt, with the you used your Princeton on the recordings too, or did he have an amp there we used?
No, I used the Princeton.
Yeah.
Or no, it's a deluxe reverb.
So you didn't start off playing guitar. You started off playing bass.
Well, I started off playing guitar, and then
So, okay, so go ahead and, since we're editing things, apparently, joking. There will be no edits. Tell me about that.
okay,
So tell me about you. So you did start on guitar. I thought for some reason you told me you were a bass player.
I was. So I started playing guitar, and I am left-handed. So I also bought a bass because when you're left-handed, it's just you're in the Lonely Hearts Club there.
Yeah.
When it comes to other people's gear. So I'd never played bass, so I bought this bass, and then what ended up happening was because I owned a bass, I became the bass player. So I played bass for 15 years or so in a bunch of bands, and I can also sing harmonies, so that was always useful. And but when I moved out here, well, I've been in a bunch of bands. And maybe you've had this happen to you before, Jake, but you're in these bands and you get really attached to the music and you get really excited about the shows and they become your songs, But then if the singer decides that they're out, then the band is done. And they walk away with a whole bunch of music that you helped them make and all that stuff and recordings of it and everything. And then you're just sitting there as the bass guy, you know what I mean? So it's like you don't get any of the net benefit at the end. So I've been writing
bass
songs.
players get the raw deal.
Yeah, and that's why I have you here.
Because that's so complicated. Because I've struggled with that, and part of it, you did not set this up, but part of the thing we're doing with Patreon that we're launching tomorrow at the Heavy Anchor, July 23rd, is that there's like some material I have that's left over that I've never felt right releasing onto like my normal platforms like Spotify or whatever, because it's like I made it with other people. Now I usually sing and play guitar and stuff, so I'm on the other end of that equation.
Sure.
But it's always like I don't want other people to feel like I'm sliding them or undercutting any of the work we did. But if you have a baby and you're busy and you're not playing music anymore, I'm glad we have the document of the music we made, but it's like, what do we do with it once a band falls apart, especially if you're on the end where you're not like the person who's leading a lot of the material, where it's something you would use in a meaningful way. Like in my set, we play stuff from kind of all the bands I've been in
Yeah.
that I've kind of written and whatnot. But like I played with Caroline last night in 9 Mile Garden. If she moves away, like I'm not going to play her songs with other people. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So that gets kind of dicey in a rock band thing though, because playing even bass or drums or something, like you're kind of doing a lot of the arranging, even though you're not writing the song maybe in the traditional sense, but you're certainly producing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the problem is that the material goes away. So as a bass player, you can't be a one-man bass show typically, unless you're Les Claypool, I guess. But like, for me, it wasn't going to be something. So then I felt like I was attached to somebody else's project always, and
There's
you know,
kind of a bass player syndrome we've talked about on the show before, where you're not connected to, and I say this as a bass player, right? I mean,
Right.
because I play bass sometimes, and I started off that way, that you're not engaged in the front of the material or the core of the material in a way that you are, that the singer or guitar player might be attributed to. So like some bass players overreach and trying to find other ways to kind of just to participate, and sometimes that's really great, and then sometimes it's not. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me.
You're
I always had-
very self-conscious right now.
Yeah.
And
Tyler feels attacked.
Tyler, I guess you're wondering why we gathered you here today.
yeah.
No, I
We
feel
all
it coming.
love you.
This is an intervention.
This is a bass intervention.
This is a bass-heavy conversation. I'm
your
surprised.
draw to the guitar or back to the guitar as a full-time thing was, you wanted to be
Yeah, well, when
I
I
don't
moved,
want to say
writing
in
a lot,
control
right?
of, because you're not. It's not that you wanted to be in control of the material, but it's that you wanted to invest in it deeper and be more connected to it.
Well, and here's the thing. So, I think from what you're talking about, Jake, when we talk about our 4-person band unit, I think we're all pretty collaborative. And to your point, there's a lot of arrangements that happen and everybody contributes. So I'm not trying to say that it's, there's no creativity amongst the other members of the band. That's not my point at all. But when I moved here, so I moved here
Now
in
you're making it weird.
2019.
Now I think maybe there was even the illusion.
Well, I mean,
You made it an option. It's like when I say, "Is that racist?" and no one thought it was racist until I'm the one that said, "Is that racist?" And it's like, well, actually, it's kind of fucked up that you would even. No one was. You know what I'm not. I can't with Joe here. We can't go down that rabbit hole because
Yeah.
Lord
Right.
knows what he'll
listen,
say.
if I don't
Right.
want to break up on the podcast, is really
Yeah.
all I want.
What is
do
your
this
opinion on civil rights?
on civil rights?
We'll get to Israel and Palestine here in a minute too.
Ooh,
but we're
no.
doing. We're talking.
I remember your brother's.
Oh, he
podcast on
was
that one.
winging it on that
He
one.
was weighing it. He
Jesus.
go, "Whoa, did I make the wrong
Did I
decision?"
make the wrong choice? So you were saying, so that was your draw to is you wanted to write songs and kind of, from
Well,
the
and I had
guitar
been writing
vocal
songs.
perspective,
So I
yeah.
had always been writing songs, but when I moved so I lived in LA for a long time, and then I moved here in 2019, and I was looking for a project to get involved with, and it wasn't really materializing. Spike it. It wasn't really materializing, and we Craigslist is a sometimes scary place, and
Hit or
so
miss.
I just said, you know what, screw trying to be part of somebody else's deal. I'm going to just run with these tunes. And so then I met Eric.
How? I don't remember that.
Craigslist. He made this Craigslist ad that was like, doesn't anybody just want to fucking rock? I mean, it was like,
What was it? It was like, doesn't everybody want to play verse, chorus?
jam song,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
3-chord barn burners, and doesn't anybody want to do something like that?
I want to talk about that because I think you and me are probably riding similar trends and that we like things like that are like groovy and high energy and up tempo and kind of grimy and kind of like, and it doesn't without being like metal or like overly, so I totally understand and I want to talk about that as a
a
kind of a local thing, 'cause we've been playing music
retro,
here for a long time.
dirty, garagey sound.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like there's plenty of that, and then sometimes it's like everyone's doing stuff with their laptop and a cello, and it's like, what do we guys can we? And we don't have the scene here. Like in LA, I can imagine that there's enough people trying to do stuff that there's more options. But if something really catches on here, it's not like we have 1,000 venues, especially now, to like cycle through things. So sometimes it feels like the stuff that we like is kind of out of favor. I don't feel like that right now because we have a great weekend booked at the Heavy Anchor, July 23rd and 24th at the Heavy Anchor.
if you kids like rock and roll, you're definitely going to want to go to the Heavy Anchor Friday,
Come on
July
out.
23rd,
Post-COVID. Let's have a good
Saturday,
time.
July
So-
24th.
Okay, so you were writing songs and you met Eric because he had a Doesn't Anyone Want to Rock Craigslist ad.
Yeah.
And then so you already had some songs that you kind of wanted to work out with a drummer.
Yep.
How many? Do I know any of those?
They're all part of it. Yeah. So, and I was actively writing. So, Forever in a Day, I had just written when I met Eric, and we kind of vibed on that tune. And same thing with East Across the Plains. Those are songs that I had just written. I demoed them in my closet and sent them over to Eric, and he connected with the material, and we got along right away. Like Eric has a bunch of cool tattoos, and we connected on the fact that he's got a Smith's tattoo. So I was like, all right, we're gonna be buddies. And yeah, it really worked out. We tried a couple bassists out and they were garbage. And then we met T-Dog over here who
Now, okay, so this is interesting too, because T-Dog, you're from Tyler. I keep calling you T-Dog. It's a kind of a pet name that I kind of
Pet name.
and I didn't
I
mean
feel
for
more
it to
comfortable
stick.
with T-Dog, yeah.
I didn't mean for it to stick like where Matt would be calling you that. So, but you're from Philadelphia.
Yeah, Matt and I have kind of a similar journey. We grew up on the East Coast. I'm from Philly, and then I spent a lot of years in LA as well, and then we both ended up here in the
We're all
Midwest.
from the East Coast.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I was born in Philly,
I'm not.
too.
No, that's 3R. That's why we're over
The
here.
three of
You're
y'all.
like born
Yeah.
and bred in Kirkwood.
yeah.
But yeah,
Look at the
similar.
look that Jake just gave me.
We should have video going.
So you're from Philadelphia. Then what happened? You met
You want to
Matt.
explain it again?
You met Matt in L.A. I thought.
No. We just have a similar trajectory like that. We started on the East Coast,
Oh yeah.
lived in LA, and now we ended up here.
So you guys didn't know each other in L.A. I
No,
made
we
that
didn't
up.
know each other until here, and I answered the same ad that,
Oh.
that Eric Runny just put bass player instead of.
He refreshed it after 7 days. He said,
I took
Yeah.
I took the singer guitar player off and just put bass player with the same ad.
Same ad.
Yeah.
Like,
"Brilliant."
Yeah, and then it was, I don't know, it was a month or month and a half after you guys got together that I came, and we have been in Eric's basement ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get back to the sound part a little bit. So when you were writing these songs, you could have done the acoustic guitar coffee house guy thing.
Yeah.
What about the song? Because I have this problem too, where like I'm kind of the central thread in a lot of my material, and drummers move away all the time, and so I kind of got sick of labeling things as bands, even though it's always built around the sound of a band. I don't do really acoustic shows. My material's not really suited for it. So, not that you couldn't do these in another arrangement, but what made you want to seek out like a full volume, like at first a power trio kind of thing?
When we talk about the sound, I could have done an acoustic guitar thing, but I wanted something that people could dance to and could get going with. When you're playing shows, I thrive on the energy of the crowd, and I've been in bands where it's kind of a snooze fest, and you feel like, what am I doing up here? And so I just wanted something that was hopefully going to get people to have a guttural reaction and just want to kind of move to the music. So that's really the theme behind what it is. And the problem is that you can't carry the whole thing. You need to have the drums to be tight and explosive the way that Eric plays, and have Jake on the low end, or Tyler on the low
T-Dog.
end. T-Dog, pardon me.
Tyler,
T-Dog.
the T-Dog.
And Jake, what you add from a melodic standpoint. So it's just like I knew that I wasn't going to be able to carry the whole project. I needed to have a band, and so that's what I was looking for when I was going on all these Craigslist ads. But
Doesn't anyone want to rock anymore?
Feels
was
like we're
it's an
plugging
honest
Craigslist.
What happened to rock?
it was the perfect question at the time, though.
Yeah.
Rock's not
because
dead.
I was at my
Craigslist,
wit's
not a
end.
sponsor yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet.
Craig, if you're listening,
We're giving you some good plugs here, guy.
Yeah, if you want to start a rock band, you know what? I've had the worst experiences on Craigslist too, though.
yeah,
I had to go to Overland. This was recently, and
are you joining another band?
no, because it was
What the-
awful. This was a few months ago.
Really?
You trying out for a fifth band? Come on, dude.
I don't think I was doing the Caroline thing yet, and
So
We
what
get
was going on?
jealous. We get
So
jealous.
I had to go watch 5 old men fight about how to play songs that are 100 years old. Like, it was a nightmare.
What songs were you guys playing?
Oh my god.
Just give us some
I don't have a single
rock and
fucking
roll
one.
It
music.
was like Mary Jane last night.
Anything
Tom
with
Petty,
like I think
Last
the
Night with
best
Mary Jane.
one, they were doing was "Can't You Hear Me Knocking" by the Rolling Stones. That was
Well, that's
also
a good
probably
one.
that was also probably the
It's one of my
newest.
That was
faves.
the newest one.
I mean, that was the most cutting edge.
So
the
what were you
material
going to play
got.
in this
keyboard?
band? Okay.
That Nord. I bought that Nord, so I was trying to make some money to pay for the Nord.
Ah.
And they had gigs lined up. They said, we need a keyboardist for a couple of blues gigs. I said, done. I thought I could go and sit in and they'd be
Uh-huh.
impressed that I could play a little keyboard.
Yeah.
And then and they were very particular and just not having a good time.
Really?
Yeah, they were not fun.
It does sound awful.
Well, and so that's the
I think
antithesis.
I was there for like 45 minutes.
But that's the antithesis of what we're trying to do. You know,
Yeah.
like we want to be a fun band. We just want to have a good time. You don't have to think too hard about the music. You can just have a good time to it. You know what I mean? And I think if you want to think about it and you want to think about the lyrical content, I think, you know, just coming from me being the songwriter, but I think that I think it's there in terms of songwriting and lyrical content, but you don't have to. You can just shake your ass and have a good time. And that's
my mom will definitely.
good.
Yeah.
I hope that she does, because that's part of the whole deal. You know what I mean? Like that's
So, and talk to me about that a little bit with now that things are reopening. I mean, we couldn't have done a show a year ago when
No.
we were first learning and crafting the material. It just wasn't an option.
right.
So, is there a value that's been added, do you think, to live music that, I mean, not just that you're looking forward to, but is that part of the appeal? Hopefully,
think
is that, I
so.
mean, none of these big shows that are coming to town are this month. You know what I mean? It takes a
Right.
long time for national acts to get up and running, but the appetite is there for live music in a way that, is obviously repressed.
yeah, I think
for a long
everybody
time.
wants to just get out again.
Yeah.
I mean, playing shows, seeing shows, whatever it is, man. Everybody just wants to been hunkered down for a year and change. It's like I just want to get out and do anything. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Like what? What else would you do?
Surf.
sports and that was the first thing Joe said to me. Are you a surfer? How do you
Well, like,
surf in the
You know
Midwest?
what's
How does
so
that
weird
go?
is when he on the Mississippi, you get a barge going, you
Yeah.
catch that
Yeah.
fucking
Well,
Some
what's
wave
that river?
pools and
What's that
stuff?
river outside
Yeah, I'd use slip and slide.
the River du Pere?
Des
Yeah, but
Perez.
just
Des
clarify
Perez?
again. No,
Yeah,
I
the
I
River
don't,
de
I
Pere.
don't
That
surf.
would
So is there ever like an opportunity to surf that? bad
Oh
boy?
yeah.
Did you surf? You didn't surf enough, did you?
I've been surfing one time.
Yeah, I
Did
think I
Did
went
you have to wear
once or
like a
twice.
wetsuit?
Yeah.
Because it's cold water.
Yeah.
Pacific's pretty cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Thermodynamics.
Not it.
See, now that's what I was looking
good
for.
answer.
Joe, can you
Wow.
look up thermodynamics? Give me a rundown.
I don't look
On
it up, Joe. Joe,
thermodynamics?
don't look it up.
Yeah, first law.
Don't
Let's
look it
just
up,
let's
Joe.
just let that one
Joe,
lie.
let it
yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
Don't look it up. It's not true.
Listen, if you're over there texting a Nigerian about puppies, pull the ripcord, brother. Get out of it.
Joe's got some shady shit going on over there, man.
He's fucking trying to buy kratom from some guy named Carl.
What is Kratom?
I don't even know.
You have the plug on Kratom.
You got the kratom plug?
Kratom plug.
Yeah, I'm not convinced your mic is on.
It's on.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
Is it on?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna
Speak
leave
from the diaphragm.
Make sure you leave that one
Yeah.
in. My mom loves when we have those conversations. You just really got to make sure you're punching it with your gas. Surfing, kratom.
Kratom.
surfing on Kratom.
Kratom. I barely know him. Sorry. Stupid.
Can edit that, right?
Eric is not pleased to be here.
You
He's
look-
listening to us be assholes on the microphone. He's just
He's
like
texting. He's got better things
I
to
got
do.
other things I got to go on.
So, talk to me about some of the negative bass player experiences on Craigslist before T Dog came along and saved the day.
Eric's got a great. What was the one the guy said? Said you were playing too loud.
Oh yeah. I hit one of my cymbals and he
And he went, whoa.
Yeah, he acted like he was gonna fall down on the ground.
That was NPR dad, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this guy was like,
from Kirkwood.
yeah, you might know him.
Yeah, I probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is that funny?
Because you're from Kirkwood.
Just
did
auditioned
go to-
for his band.
I did grow up in Kirkwood after I got kicked out of Catholic school in kindergarten.
Like, so NPR dad.
Let's
was
get into
cool.
that.
We will.
Like when he first showed up, he seemed cool, you know. Like he had like a '60s fretless P bass, I think, or something. Like he had some cool gear, and he showed up and was just a fucking wet blanket, dude. Like he just, like, you know, it started off with all this promise, and he liked all these cool bands, and then he was just not.
Zero personality.
Yeah, no personality. And like, you know, Jake, it's funny because you're talking about like the up tempo part of the band. Like this guy was not vibing with it at all. Then as soon as he said that the drums were too loud, so Eric goes, dude, this guy's not going to work. He said something about my drumming, and I was like, oh well, I'm sure it's fine, like whatever. And then like I think it was like 3 hours after that conversation, he sent an email like, guys, I've got to pursue some other things, and like at least he selected himself out. But then after that, I don't know if I told you this, Eric, but he sent me some personal email like, bro, listen, I think we had like kind of a vibe going on.
Oh
like,
yeah. I remember that.
Oh yeah, he's like, I think you know
That
we could-
drummer guy though, he just
that's
hits
exactly what he
those
said. He's like,
cymbals
dude,
too
it's
damn
just- Yeah,
loud.
he's like, he hits the drums too hard or whatever. And I'm like, Wow. Like, just talk
So,
about not
yeah,
reading the
NPR
room.
Didn't
Yeah.
he show up like with he didn't learn any material at all, right?
That's a guitar guy that came through.
Oh yeah, that was the guy that
Oh,
finally.
let's not.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Let's not talk about that.
No, the bass player. I thought he kind of knew the stuff and whatnot.
Yeah, he knew this stuff.
But he really he was more geared for like a John Mayer tribute band.
Well, he was like, dude, this sounds like this song. If we slowed it down, it would sound like Elliott Smith. And I'm like, and I love me some Elliott Smith, but I'm like, that's not the vibe, man. It's not even close. You know? So-
That'll really pump the room up.
Oh yeah, exactly. I'll whisper into the mic.
That'll get you dancing.
So like, I think we've got kind of a general rule that we don't want to play songs by guys that killed themselves. So like, we just want to have a positive
That was
vibe,
a disclaimer on the
up-tempo
Craigslist ad.
Yeah.
deal.
Would you
know
call
what I
it family friendly?
mean? Yeah, why not?
Sure.
Well, and I purposely don't write.
I'm thinking we could start doing matinees.
Yeah.
We could do. I mean, we're open to
Country
do,
club
we could
gigs.
do a
Really?
food truck matinee.
really. I mean, I get up at least 8 in the morning, Jake. So we could do a matinee for sure. I think. What time do you get up in the morning?
Definitely by 9.
9.
If
Okay,
not
so
8.
yeah, so
5.
we could early
9.
afternoon. We're good,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to be at work till 11.
Okay.
Good for you.
Sometimes I go in earlier.
9
It's a good
is
gig.
sleeping in for me.
Yeah.
Me too.
It used to be for me.
You work
That's lunch for
at
me.
11 every day?
What do you mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's just not open before then, so it's really not economical for me to be there burning the clock when it's not open.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Touche. Makes sense.
I mean,
I'm
yeah.
just jealous. Is what this is
No, it's
envy.
I was at work by 7 every day for
No, I know.
for 10 years. So I do like the
Yeah.
morning. I love getting up when the sun is just coming up and you get your 4 Diet Cokes and it's just it's going to be a good day.
Are you a morning person, Jake?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
Really?
I'm not a night owl at all.
No?
I know I don't like my wife gets like super energy at night and will be productive and do things and stay up till 5 in the morning. I'm not like that.
That's
Yeah.
how my wife is, and I'm the total opposite. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm not a morning guy at
Like
all.
I even get like grumpy. Like if it's too late, I'm like, come on, what are we doing? Especially now that I don't drink. Like when I was a kid, it was really bad. And then when I was partying, it wasn't so bad. But now that I don't drink, it's like, what am I doing? It's if I see it's past 12 o'clock, I'm like, fuck, I'm late for bed.
Yeah.
Even though I could go to bed at 1 and be fine. But
So like I have this complex where like it's like a 7th grader complex where it's like I have to force myself to go to bed because I never liked having a bedtime and I always wanted to stay up super late and like I go and then Instagram is like this wormhole that just sucks your life away. And so I'll get on this tangent and you'll look up and it'll be 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's like, shit, I got to go to work tomorrow. But I just like staying up late. I mean, I don't know if this is interesting content for your podcast.
No, it's really good.
Yeah,
no, we're
people-
warming up.
People
we're
like
warming
this
up.
type of thing.
Yeah, I think Eric and Joe are texting each other.
That do you believe this shit?
Dude, let's get out of here. This is
Eric, can you believe these fucking self-righteous assholes? Who gives a fuck? Who gives a shit?
Who doesn't like Elliott Smith?
Shut up and play the bass.
Yeah, right.
I love Elliott Smith. I'm not saying.
No, I was just it's like, well, really, any kind of suggestion when you're just showing up is really annoying.
Yeah.
They're like, we could be really doing like an ABBA thing if you guys really want to do that. It's like, well, can you just play the part?
Yeah, exactly. You earn the right to start shaping the content there, buckaroo.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
But it just, to top it off, he chose like, we could be really doing like a Jack Johnson thing, if you guys really wanted to.
and that's when I said, it
You're
seems
like,
to
have
me
you even
that
played the
maybe
song?
pretty much always means no.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But to round out the bass part of this, so it was like a month after you guys got together, and then I learned it was like Forever in a Day. I was like 3 or 4 tunes, and it was a good first session. I came back, we just kind of kept going, and then we waited then how about like 5 or 6 months into it, we've recorded.
Yeah, so we went into the studio in March of 2020, but
Which studio?
Sawhorse. It was awesome.
So Jason McIntyre.
What's he got? Is the producer Jason McIntyre?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Well, the engineer. He
and-
doesn't want credit to be the
he did the
producer.
he did a really good job of what the
Jakey, you're looking nimble.
Did he
Look
have
at
any?
that. Look at that.
Did he have any creative engineering approaches to what you guys wanted?
Hey, isn't that board?
He- Yeah, I mean, he has some good notes, but it was funny. We put
Is it from Falco?
You know,
It was Falco's board. He recorded Rock Me Amadeus on that console and then sold it to J-Dog.
I didn't know
Really?
that.
Right? Did I make that up?
Well, you made a.
are you?
a
Is that
snide
did that get
remark.
caught on the mic?
Well, no, you made a snide. So what Jake had said was that Jason's mixing console at Sawhorse was previously owned by the band Falco, who did Rock Me Amadeus.
What
can forget
what kind of
that
mixing
one?
board was it?
I think it was a Neve console.
Oh, no fucking way.
I'm pretty sure.
That's dope.
Yeah.
What was your favorite piece of gear you had?
He's got a lot of kick-ass gear, but he's got a bunch. I mean, we didn't utilize it at all, but he's got a shitload of B3 Hammond organs,
Oh wow.
which are pretty cool. He's like a keyboard guy, I think.
Oh yeah.
Didn't Jake use that on? No.
No, I think he set up his shit on top of it.
Oh.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean,
Jake
But
put
I-
his Casio on top of a B3.
So he was more of an engineer than a producer.
for sure. But what's good about him is that he's really good at helping you get a good performance. I've recorded in a lot of different places, and maybe you have too, Joe. But like, you feel like you're under the gun. You're paying for this stuff, right? And part of the ethos of our album that we're making is no shortcuts, right? So we've done a lot of. Everybody's done different projects over the years, and they've been on the cheap. And maybe you know a guy who does this recording in this basement, and it never really turns out the way you want it to. So we just said we're going to go to a pro studio with a pro guy. And so there's a huge difference in that, where Jason's livelihood is making sure that he gets great takes out of the people that are playing, and that was, I think, for me, the best part of the experience was the fact that he was there to guide, especially from a vocal standpoint, because he knows
That's what I noticed is that he would punch in
for sure.
just with feedback, just to say like, this is what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And so let me sing it back to you. And not like he's thinks of himself as
No.
a great singer,
Yeah.
but that he could vocalize it and saying what you're trying to do is, blah, blah, blah. I don't have an example of a note or
Sure,
a
no,
line, but
And you're right. It does, like, you do feel under the gun a little bit, but he creates like a very
Oh yeah.
cool, calm atmosphere.
and there's guys like that. We've had
Nobody's
this
rushing
band
and
Ground Control on this show before, who work with this guy Sam at Shock City, who is like emotionally invested in their material. He just wants them to really love it, and
Yeah.
he wants them to sound good. So he doesn't like try to change anything, but he helps them. He tries to coach them into the take that he knows is going to translate the right way, which is exactly like. Especially
Yeah.
Jason's a keyboard guy, so for me coming in there to play keyboards, he had some cool stuff. We could talk about the stuff I brought. I have that cool Moog that Moog that I know it's supposed to be Moog,
I think
and I
it's
can
Moog.
defend it
But I always say Moog
because I don't want to
But
be a
it can't be
fucking.
Moog, Jake. If it's Moog, then why did they name it Mooger Fooger?
Because everyone was saying.
Is it
I'm just
Moger
saying
Foger?
his name was pronounced Moog. Is the thing?
I know, but
It's
that
Moger
doesn't-
Froger, bro.
It's Moger. Really?
It's Moger Froger, dog.
I thought it was Mooger Fooger.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. And that's the globalist propaganda. They're trying to siphon off the resources and they're fucking going to space, Joe.
Jeff Bezos' rocket.
Jeffrey Bezos.
That's the
Jeffrey Bezos.
is that the band that's opening or
Yeah, Jeffrey Bezos'
Jeffrey
rocket.
Bezos and the Rocket Brothers.
Yeah.
So-
Cock rocket.
did you find yourself arranging your songs any differently when you're in the studio?
No, we
So you were just cleaned up, you're just like, let's just go in,
yeah, Eric, did
boom, boom.
we didn't change any of the arrangements or
This
anything
guy's
for the
in the
studio,
band?
did we?
Eric plays drums in the band.
Yeah,
I do a lot.
He's the quiet, cool type though.
No, we just went in there. We would hammer out the stuff live, the basic drum tracks,
So
get
did we
them
do
done.
that to a click?
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
had the
most
bass
of it.
DI and
Yeah.
the keys DI, so that we could do it like that. We did some not that way, not to a click, but the ones that are really finished for the mastering process, those were all to a click, I think.
I think so. There may be
Except
one or
for,
two.
Yeah, there's like two that are not.
So I do want to get into the
Cash
nitty
just
gritty of
hissed at
some
me.
of the details here about some of that. So the way we tracked this record is that we set up in the big room at Sawhorse together.
Yeah.
Right. We had the drums all mic'd up exactly the way we want them to sound, and to our in-ear mixes, we had our headphone mixes. We had the click, and then other stuff. The guitar amp was mic'd in another room.
Yep.
You sang into just a normal mic
Yep.
in the room that we didn't use those vocals takes. It was the scratch track, right?
Thank
And
God.
so the drums are really the only thing we kept from the scratch track for the most part.
Yeah, and that was what and some of the bass, but I think majority of what we were doing for those first couple days was just trying to get clean drum takes.
And the drums turned out really, really
they
good.
really
I love
did,
not
yeah.
only the performances, of course, and we all love Eric and how hard he hits those motherfuckers, but also that
Except for that one guy.
except for
So
that
that
one
bass
NPR
player.
An
dad,
idiot though.
who's probably my neighbor
Yeah, well,
previously
right.
in a previous residence.
Yeah.
So
You might know him.
is that an important part of some people? I mean, a lot of people are like, you don't have to do that, or we just do everything one at a time, or what is that? Eric, do you feel like that was part of the sound we were trying to capture? Is playing it all live and clicked in?
110%.
Yeah,
All the projects that I've had prior to meeting Matt was getting the live 3 parts down.
Yeah.
And it always tends to have the vibe. It always has it has just a certain feel to it that you just can't get sometimes when you're piecing it together.
Yeah. It sounds kind of cliche, but it's like it's missing something if you don't do it that way. Like I've definitely done it the other way around where the drummer is kind of like, just playing to maybe a scratch guitar track that was laid down to a click, and you just don't get the same energy in the room. And
Yeah, I
so-
always tend to think that the band, everyone that I've recorded in that has done them live, I always think that the band is much tighter after the studio.
Oh, no doubt. Well, and the thing too is that like Eric, and I think the reason why we clicked so much musically is that you and I feed off of each other a lot, like in terms of like the energy. You play a lot of fills
the
and
Guatemalaness,
Well, it'll be interesting to see
your
this
Latin heat.
live show coming up because it'll be the first time where we're not looking at each other. 'Cause typically,
We're in
the
a
whole
circle.
practice is like, eye glances and dumb looks.
That's one thing we're working on with our new material.
Jake shoots his dagger looks.
For example, there's going to be a demo of a new Jacob V song that'll drop tomorrow on Patreon that we're celebrating at July 23rd at the Heavy Anchor.
hey Jake, if you want to
Patreon-
take a second to talk about the tiers.
Patreon.com/Jacob V. It's only $4 a month. It's $1 a week.
Okay.
Exclusive content. Now, but one of the things that we've been talking about with other stuff that I work on is that recording it or crafting it in a group, and then, for example, in something like this at full volume, me and Chris do a song, my song Hair, that we do that one, and it's just so different live than it is on the record because of how it was recorded. That was the only thing I've ever really done where it wasn't fleshed out full volume with a band or whatever. So we're immediately going back to doing it that way with, making everything sound the way it's going to sound live before we commit anything to a recording. Because when you create something like in GarageBand abstractly, you're just adding a bassoon or some shit just because you have it available. It makes it hard to kind of focus the vision and the context.
What are your thoughts on that though? Like, does it have to be?
Man, I thought I just said a lot of
100%
things.
The bassoon.
Sorry,
On the
Jake.
bassoon.
What do you have to
In
say
this
about
band,
that?
we had
though?
buffoon.
Buffoon, yeah. Yeah, I
We
supply
take
the
turns
buffoon
with that
usually. No, but Jake, I mean, like from your point of view and your material, like, do you? Because I feel like what we have in terms of our record is we've got material that sounds one way on the record, and we're doing our best representation of it live. But there's a lot made up for in just pure energy, where we did some overdubs that we kind of just let be on the recording and only on the recording. Are you like a strict, like it's got to be, if it's going to be in the recording, it's got to be played live, or do you kind of let them be two separate
Mr.
entities?
Steely Dan over here.
No, I mean, a lot of the songs are totally, that we've put out have been totally different leading up to when we recorded them. We recorded them the way that sounded best at the time, and then they're kind of different since then. Not necessarily in their arrangement or like the timing or anything, but definitely like my approach on guitar and guitar tones. I mean, I didn't have pedals when I did my first EP. I had a whammy pedal and one of those Ingles.
That was it?
Yeah. So, and that's how the Too Deep record was. There were very
Wow.
few pedals on the Too Deep record other than the whammy because I just didn't. It was before.
When was
I had-
that? Because you got a lot of pedals
Yeah.
now.
This is. I mean,
This whole room is covered in
It
pedals.
really is.
yeah. It is. It's because
It's awesome.
Yeah. It'd be awesome if it was clean and like.
I really want to play
Orderly.
pool.
I know. You know what? You're the first person that has really made me feel like I wish we could play some pool down here.
No, you need.
I think
It's a
it
good
would be a
storage
nice
space.
feature. I think it'd be a nice feature for the podcast to have the pool table as an option, and then
No pressure.
yeah.
It wouldn't take long for you to be playing pool, dude. You'd be
But
playing pool in
also,
20 minutes.
and this is part of.
I lost my virginity on a pool table.
I
Well,
fucking.
let's hear that story.
You know what's-
Everybody,
you know
halt!
why that's
Let's
so
go.
fun- You know what's so funny is because Eric will make dirty jokes to us all the time that are just associated with words we're using in conversation, and it's fun. It's a thing he's really good at. You're not joking.
No, I'm not.
That's why we laughed at that. Is because we could tell that it wasn't that, even though the delivery was kind of funny. It wasn't a joke. So this is lovely red felt on this one.
On it or under it?
On it.
Was
On
it?
it.
Did you put a towel down?
No.
Was that planned
So
or
I was
impromptu?
gonna say I don't know.
It was
I don't know if anybody
impromptu.
plans to have sex on a pool table.
And then it wasn't really.
What?
It was,
You've obviously never had a pool table.
That's true. That's true. Guilty.
That's maybe the first time.
And it
I've
was
ever
a small
acknowledged
high
my
school, so it
sexuality
was
on the show.
awkward for the rest of
It
this.
was in the high school.
No.
Oh, I was like, shit.
She
First
and
of
I
all, what
went
high
to
school
the-
has a pool table?
I was about to
Secondly,
say, was it next to the cigarette machine?
Well, I am a little older.
Yeah.
he's a Fonz.
Did you have teachers that smoked at school?
Yeah, I
your
had
teachers that
I had
smoked
my
it?
band teacher would smoke and drink coffee in the band room.
Because
Yeah.
my uncle is
He had the worst breath.
in his 50s.
No shit.
They didn't try to hide it at all. No, they didn't pop gum in, or they
it was
just.
just like
Coffee and cigarettes
time
all
to do
day.
your rudiments. Almost sounded like Jake on this podcast.
I would love if the culture had never changed, but people were vaping instead. So, like, you're vaping on an airplane, your doctor is vaping. If my doctor vapes, you know the world's over.
Well, 9 out of 10 doctors recommend Juul.
Over
Is that
Word
Singer?
from our sponsor,
Over- yeah.
Juul.
Juul.
That's
Juul.
Something the
Oh, I
kids are
thought you
doing
meant the
now.
Canadian singer.
Oh yeah, 9 out of 10 doctors do prefer Juul.
She's from
She
Alaska.
played at my high school.
You know,
She's Alaskan.
I
yeah.
fucking love Juul.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Caroline about this last night at 9 Mile Garden, that a big part of my influence, a big part of my first relationship with music was trashy 90s pop music. I was a child, and my first favorite band was the Spice Girls, and I had that movie Spice World.
Yeah.
I'd watch it over and over and over. And because I've always loved music and pretty girls, and there's the part with the Latin dancers and their
Who was
booties
your
pop
favorite
out.
Spice Girl?
Ginger.
I like Ginger too. I'm a Ginger man.
Yeah, I've always liked redheads and
She had
You
some
know,
sass,
secretly, I
you know?
have a spice name for like everybody in the band.
oh no.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Can I be Gravy Spice?
No, I think you're like Fanny Pack Spice.
Fanny Spice.
Fanny
Yeah.
Spice.
That's awful.
And then Tyler's Sporty Spice.
But Sporty Spice is taken, isn't it?
No, but it's
Yeah,
you.
but
No,
You're
she's-
Sporty
she's-
Spice
she's
because of
actually
like
Melanie C.
coaching and everything.
Oh, so but like
actually
so
Melanie C.
actually you're naming us the existing Spice
no,
Girls.
no. There's no Fanny Pack Spice.
Oh, I'm not familiar with the Spice
You were
Girls
just
too
one of
much.
the Spice Girls names.
Okay, that works for me.
You're the sportiest of our spices.
For
That's
sure.
true.
I almost bought a huge thing of Lion's Choice seasoning today. I was at Lion's Choice for lunch. Not a sponsor. Swear to God, I went to that Lion's Choice by you that doesn't have a drive-through, and it's like some kind of old world bread line. Like I was in like a cubicle with a bunch of half of the people are wearing masks, half of them aren't. Everyone that works there is mad that people keep walking in.
Yeah.
This guy spilled horseradish sauce all over the place. I had two large beef and
that
Swiss.
wasn't horseradish sauce.
But they're big. They sell the big thing of their seasoning for like $8.
Who got this
And who
horseradish
wouldn't get
sauce on
through
the
this
pool
without
table?
Eric making one?
Well, you know what? That's why this is.
Horseradish sauce. Get on my back.
I knew we wouldn't get through this without Eric
turned
making
the corner.
a homoerotic
I turned
joke.
the corner to go to the trough of sauce to get my sauce while I'm waiting for the
Sauce
sandwiches
trough.
to pop up. And this guy, he's got horseradish in his hair,
My
like he's
baby's
like
got
dangling
sauce.
from his face. It was almost like in Mrs. Doubtfire where he puts the pie on his face.
It's kind of like that G Love song.
My baby's got sauce.
Jake
You love
loves
it.
that song.
Wait, so what's
By the way,
Matt's Spice name?
real quick, I did see Jewel once. She
I love
was
her.
the second or third performer at one of the first Point Fest. So it was in the daytime and
She
nobody
played
was
at my
paying
high
attention.
school.
And she
I'm looking at
yodeled.
Tyler like
She yodeled for like 10 minutes.
I don't know, but she played in my high school, and somebody threw a
she put
quarter
out
at her,
a
and she
live
got really
recording
mad.
that was from back in the day when she did more of the yodely shit.
Yeah.
And it's like her and like a drummer and a bass player, and it's really kind of fun. But there's a huge yodely part, and I'm like, honey. But like seriously, my mom was a young, angry, divorced mom in her 20s in the 90s.
Okay.
And so she had a lot of angry girl music, and it was a great era for her. We had Alanis Morissette and Tracy Chapman and lots of Jewel. I had Jewel's whole catalog up until like 2008.
Oh, what was that tour called?
Which one?
The one with all the girls.
Oh, Lilith Fair.
Lilith Fair, right.
Yeah. Right.
Sarah McLaughlin.
Yeah,
Although that
every
wasn't
time.
all that angry. It was kind of just sad. Like, that's the theme.
Beat down
Let's just go ahead and
dogs
alienate my female audience.
Well,
No, not at all. It's just not my favorite kind of a lineup.
Mm-hmm.
well,
So-
great.
Right.
And
now
after-
we've ruined it.
And after
Yeah.
Jewel came
Yeah, don't-
Stone Roses.
Listen, don't tell him and Joe about Afropunk.
Oh, I love Stone Roses. Nobody paid attention to the Stone Roses.
I do like. Can we call the episode that?
Nobody paid attention.
Nobody paid attention to the Stone Roses. Can we get that as a drop so we can do that as a sample anytime? You're supposed to.
Wait, I still want to hear Matt Spice name.
Oh God, we're all over the place, but we're warmed up and things are happening.
I don't know if I
Well,
have
we
one
have-
for Matt. Beardy Spice.
Beardy Spice, maybe.
You guys ever thought about, like doing like a tour?
Yes.
So I did want to talk about. So one thing we talked about this week with we talked about
You've been silenced, Joe.
we talked about.
Keep Googling.
Well, no, this is I'm trying to pull back to your point. Thermodynamics.
We're still on.
So the band we're opening for on Saturday, that's July 24th at the Heavy Anchor, is Youth and Canvas. They had moved to Austin for a while, but then during the pandemic, he couldn't play music there, and so he's come back here. We talked about that in the last episode. And his second record.
I thought Texas was a free-for-all down there.
Oh well, yeah. Well, but Austin's just a bad.
Well, I
vibe
know
right now. He's
Austin's a
having
little.
bad time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
like-
his appraisal of and summary of Austin was
It was a
it's
lot
not
like
it's
how-
not a great endorsement, and all you hear is Austin's awesome, but he kind of
But
gave it
that's
the
thing.
real
That's-
twist on it. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like, again, moving to Austin now would be like buying Bitcoin now.
right.
And Joe lived in Nashville for a while, and I've visited several times, and I had a similar vibe. It's like it's growing at a rate like I don't want to be a part of. If I worked for a company like Enterprise or something, and I was like real up and comer guy, and I was like had a flat stomach, you know what I mean? I ate like potatoes. Like I would move to a place like that.
Yeah.
But I'm also really really from here. My whole family's from here, so it's harder to move.
Yeah.
But so he's moving back, and his thing with their second record, they never really got to play together. He made his second record with a different drummer than his first record, and they never really got to tour or do anything. And so now he's working on a third record with a third drummer, and they're going to be playing material from the second record. But
This is like Spinal Tap.
yeah, but he was really bummed out in working on the third record because of he didn't know what he was going to get to do with it. He didn't know how long it was going to be until he could gig again. It had already been like 6 months when he started it. So I think going into the studio during COVID made perfect sense because we couldn't gig the thing into the ground. But was there an appeal to? Would you rather do the studio thing first, like we did, or would you rather gig it and see where it goes and then do the studio thing? I hate gigging things into the ground and not having anything to show for it. Like a record is a great document of progress, and it's fun to listen to.
I mean, I think it was good that we, like you said, I mean, it was COVID, so we didn't have
We
much
didn't
of an
have a
option.
choice.
Yeah,
I
they didn't have a
do like
choice.
it.
I think it was
So
out of
we made
necessity.
yeah, exactly.
Instead of just sitting around the basement for 12 months.
we
let's
still
go.
did.
That I was afraid of.
Yeah. So we just did stuff.
Well, I feel like when you talk to people and you mention that you're in a band, they go, "Great, where can I hear your stuff?"
Yeah.
And so everything's immediate right now. So it's not, and people don't go out because of the COVID and all that stuff. So, I think that is a necessary part of the development of the band and making sure that we've got something we can share with people so that they can connect with the material.
Album coming out soon. We're not exactly sure when, but
There are already songs that are newer than that album too.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, our set list we're playing
we get to
4 or
play
5 that are not on the album. I think
we get to play like a whole hour. Both bands do because it's only 2 bands. That's July 23rd and 24th at the Heavy Anchor. And by the time you're probably listening to this, that's tonight and tomorrow night. But I think that's a big part of the thing is that like we're excited to get to play it, but like how is the second record going to be different because we got to have all this time to play stuff?
That's a really good question. You know, I don't know that so usually the way that it works is I'll bring ideas to the basement and I'll usually cut a demo of them just to make sure that I've got kind of my ideas solidified. And then we kind of fuck around with the arrangement of it, you know. So a few of the prime examples, you know, I kind of live my life in 170 beats per minute, right? So I want everything to be going, you know, a mile a minute and fast and up tempo.
About that, I was able to quantify during COVID, my internal rhythm dropped 40 BPM. I used to always be like 120, 130, and then routinely right around 80, 90.
Right. How did you quantify that?
Well, because I was working on material that I engineer a lot of my own stuff, so I have to set the click track myself, and I send stems to drummers at different places and things like that. And so I just started noticing that kind of like my newer stuff, things that I've been working on since COVID started, much slower.
When you write, Jake, do you write to a click? Do you decide on a tempo and then write whatever you're writing?
I try to make like a chart, like like I do with my cover stuff. I get the lyrics and then I put the chords in there, and then if for my original stuff I'll put the BPM in there so that I don't forget it, so that I can recreate the riff, because I don't tab out the stuff because I kind of write everything around chords anyway.
Yeah.
And so, but I try to get
so,
the beat.
But like when you're writing,
when I'm writing something, I'm probably singing it in my car, and then I click it to a BPM, and then I use that to create a drum loop in the GarageBand app on my phone, and then I sing over that, and then I try to, by ear, will create either a bass line or a keyboard bed to try to find chords. It's usually around B flat.
Got it. Okay, because I kind of do a similar thing where I just like I'm making phone memos of like whatever riff I've decided or whatever vocal thing I'm working on. And it's interesting that yours, like everything you write kind of ends up in the same BPM range, because mine does too, right? And so that's where what's good about our process is that these guys and you and Eric, especially on the drums, will be like, hey, well, maybe we should try something different than this, you know? So it's nice because I think our newer material's got a lot more dynamic.
It's groovy.
Well, it's a little more. It's a deviation too.
I was doing
bit.
my nasty dance at the beginning of the groovy one.
Yeah,
it's got the bass and the drums and the whole thing.
The whole shebang, as they say. But
Sheboygan.
I mean, I do think it's got more dynamic. Do you agree, Eric? The new stuff?
Yeah. I just think the writing has progressed.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's the dynamics or just, you know, we are working together cohesively.
That's the thing too. And one of the things that you're going to see on my Patreon is an album that we never really put out anywhere other than Bandcamp, but the band I was in for years called Battle Stag, where we would practice every Thursday for years. And we finally did a record ourselves. That's kind of where I learned how to do it. Like in his basement, we borrowed an old DigiDesign like 002 console thing, Firewire thing, and like, you know, and so I think their friends didn't like my vocals, I don't think. And I think we learned so much about mixing and mastering in the process that we wanted to do it all again and never really did. So we didn't put it on Spotify and stuff because they didn't feel like it was ready. But it's like one of those things that we're gonna sneak out. But it's one of those things that because we were writing it all together, if I had, you know, played with a different group of people in a different environment, the music would have sounded a lot different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like when you're adding, you know, we kind of wrote this record with your songs and then Eric's drums and then Tyler's bass.
Right.
And then before we went into the studio, I had a couple months maybe to throw keyboards on top of it, but we weren't changing anything. Now new stuff can take shape around those sounds. And so is that informing like what you're thinking of when you're writing stuff? You have a synthesizer of mine you borrowed.
Yeah. So for sure, that's actually a really good point in that.
Eric didn't think I was going to wheel that back around. Eric thought we were losing it. He thought the wheels were going to come off.
The wheels always come off.
The wheels are gone for Eric.
We're on the
dragon.
Yeah, we're dragging.
No, but you're right. So I've been kind of experimenting with key sounds and trying to add different melodies to make sure that I'm leaving space for you, right? And that's something that I think that we didn't necessarily have at the beginning, is just because we didn't really know where we were going to go with things, and we didn't realize that we were going to have that Moog sound sound in the band. But now it's, I think, a signature of what we do, and so I'm trying to be as conscious as I can of leaving space for you and having an idea of where everybody fits into the mix. But to your point, we were kind of building this as it was going along, and now we're in this place where we've got a really solid setup and we can write together, which I think is going to make a big difference for the next one.
Yeah. And one of my favorite local bands, I thought they were gone just because it's been a long time since they played locally. They're called Umbrella Boulevard, and they're working on a new record right now that I know that their second record had a lot more, for example, a lot more guitars, because they had a guitarist to write with that they didn't have for their first record. And this new one's going to be even more different than that, because everyone's playing different instruments kind of on purpose. And so I'm trying to think of, as a fan of that band, trying to imagine like, oh, what are they going to do now that they got a different thing? And, historically there'll be eras in famous bands where you'll talk about different people that played with them at different times and how that affected the sound of the record. Do you think we'll do the next one in the same place?
Sawhorse?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
I think so. I mean, we really vibed with
I had a
Jason.
really positive experience.
He's really good at making you feel comfortable,
And I think it's because it's his business too. Like, he's not just the engineer.
The dude in the basement.
He's not just engineering it, but he's engineering it as the guy that wants people to have a positive experience and leave with something that sounds really good to represent his business.
Without a doubt.
And it's not that every engineer wouldn't feel that way, but it's like, it's not like just the skin in the game thing, but it's like his whole vision.
He makes me play with a pick, though.
He doesn't make you do anything.
Well, he hits on that in that, what was that movie?
Turn your tone up and play the pick.
Was it Gateway Sound or something?
No. What was that movie called that I saw and I sent it out to you guys? Recording in Progress.
That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's a cool
it's
documentary.
on Netflix or
I think it was Prime, but
Prime, Amazon Prime. Yeah. So it's about recording industry now that people are doing home recording, and it's filmed here
yeah.
in St. Louis. So super interesting. And it's,
Well, he kind of
good-
carries the
good-
torch for the recording industry too. Like he kind of is like, he knows the history of it all and is kind of like dialed into it. Like, because Jake, what you were talking about is, he's representing his business. He takes a lot of pride in his craft, and I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest.
didn't
thing
you think I was taking you to some dude in the basement?
Oh, that's what I thought we were doing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because Eric goes, yeah, I know a guy. That's what he says. I go, yeah, we're going to go record and I know a guy. And I'm like, all right, great. So, I only known Eric for 3 or 4 months at this point. And I'm like, oh God, it's going to be like, yeah, welcome to Sawhorse Studio. This is Midge, my wife. This beer's in the fridge.
It'd be
Let's
great.
go down to the
It'd be
cellar.
great if he yelled at his mom.
It's
It's like, welcome to Sawhorse. Mom! Mom! Meatloaf!
get off the pool table, Ma!
Eric's busy.
Yeah. Yeah, Eric would totally try to seduce somebody's mom. If we went to someone's home studio and they had an elderly mother.
I didn't
I
tell
don't
you
know
who I
if-
lost my virginity to, did I?
No.
Was it an elderly woman?
That'd be sweet.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe at that time I felt like she was, but
Oh, she was a coug, though.
no.
Oh, Coogan?
No.
Steve
No?
Coogan.
That was about a year later. I had a whole thing right out of high school with this cougar. She was 32 and I was
Can we still say that?
19. Yeah,
Is that...
Yeah, okay.
sure, why not? I was 19, she was 32 or 33.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like 100 when you're 19.
Oh, I know.
When you're 19, like now, being 30, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. But like,
She taught me some stuff.
I'll bet.
I bet she
Oh, yeah.
gave you some stuff too.
Oh. Yeah, I'm still carrying that baggage.
So now that we're an hour in, Israel and Palestine.
Yeah.
No.
No, joking.
Yeah, we
Joking.
can't.
I thought it'd be a funny segue.
Right to the Holy Land.
I wish I knew where my other cat was. He's usually here to fuck up the show. God is good.
Yes.
Have you guys ever tried being famous?
It wasn't
Not
for
worth
me,
it.
Joe. I just didn't really care for it, honestly.
Nobody liked that one. I'm sorry.
I'm the most famous person I know.
You're the most famous person I know, too.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Your wife's probably famous.
there's some fame there. Yeah.
There's
She has some fans. Yeah.
There's some, like, if you went to dinner somewhere and somebody was like, "Oh my God,
Her band was really big in southern Utah. Yeah.
that's a
It's random.
Highly
But
specific.
that's a weird thing."
It's
To say.
Yeah, it's like the whole big in
I agree.
Japan thing, but
yeah.
But I
had
know people that have
there's
been to Japan.
fans. This is her fandom story. There's fans that got everybody in the band to sign their arms, and then they got it tattooed on their
that's
arms.
insane.
Were
It's
these more-
insane.
Were
Yeah.
these more men?
Most likely.
More
I mean,
nice.
they're in southern Utah.
God, I had a beef stick from a Circle K the other night
Okay.
that was made
Good
by
segue.
Amish people,
What was his name?
and
Oh my God.
There he is.
Is a beef stick? Are we referring to a hot dog, or what are we talking
like
about
a
here?
Slim
Jerky.
Jim type.
Yeah,
Slim
Slim
Jim.
Jim.
Okay.
But it was
Slim
made
Jim.
by
Okay.
Amish people, and it was teriyaki, brother.
Have you ever seen the Slim Jim Instagram account?
No,
Oh
It's
yeah,
fucking choice.
it's hilarious.
It's
yeah,
Real good.
I
It's
didn't know
real
those
good.
were still around. I don't see those around.
Oh, they're everywhere. You're just not looking.
Yeah.
You gotta look
They're
for the Slim Jim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually right at the
You
counter
don't
though.
ever
They
see
still there?
No, they have a whole section now because there's so many. There's such biodiversity in the Slim Jim market.
They got a lot of flavors and stuff.
There's different brands. and
Is
then they
Macho
do-
Man Randy Savage still
You know what is so funny? I was just at 7-Eleven yesterday getting
Not so much.
getting 2 bottles of my favorite Icelandic spring water. It's from glaciers. It's naturally alkaline. It's anti-inflammatory. And there was an empty display box of Slim Jims. There's maybe 2 Slim Jims in there, but it's a huge box. And the back of it was Macho Man Randy Savage giving like a thumbs up. And
Yeah.
he had a Slim Jim. And
in his prime?
yeah. And
He's
I thought
wearing the
that's weird they
star
still do
sunglasses?
that because he's dead now.
Yeah.
No, it's probably because they made so many boxes.
I'm about to say that box is that old.
Well, you said biodiversity when you were talking about these Slim Jims. I'm thinking about biodegradable.
Yeah.
Those were probably from 1994.
yeah,
They
didn't go anywhere.
they're like Twinkies. They'll survive a nuclear holocaust. There's no shelf life.
What's your favorite club to play in St. Louis?
I don't know that they've played in any. Eric has for sure.
Eric's played in all of them.
Me and Eric.
Heavy Anchor,
Me and
July
Eric are-
24th.
My favorite
right.
spot is
That's our
the
favorite.
Heavy Anchor, July 23rd, July
That's my
24th.
favorite
Let's focus
show.
on the 24th.
Do you, Joe? Do you have a club that you would recommend for us to play?
Cicero's, Foo Bar.
Cicero's is closed.
Cicero's is
Foo Bar's
gone.
closed. It's red flag
Firebird
now.
And
Firebird's closed.
What's your
Creepy
favorite,
Crawl.
Joe?
Creepy Crawl's closed.
yeah.
So you're just
I was trying to name all the closed
all the
venues.
close accounts. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing that on purpose. It was driving me nuts.
Yeah. No, I was trying to think of another one.
Current stuff that's open that I enjoy playing is Duck Room.
Oh yeah, love
That's
the
a
Duck
great
Room.
vibe in there, and the sound is always good.
My Radiohead tribute band played there once. It was lit.
That's cool.
I was sober as a bird.
I played the pageant once, and that was amazing.
I got kicked out of Halo Bar several times.
You got kicked out of the pageant.
I got escorted out very politely. They were so nice to me. I really came to midway up the ramp, and I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "You're just fucked up, bro." And I said, "I'm so sorry. I gotta close my tab." And he brought me my tab. I had to sit on this bench like I was getting an IV.
You got an IV?
No, but they put me in
Oh.
like where you put like someone who had a seizure or something. I was in like a medical like closet.
Oh,
I keep hearing about Liquid IV. You guys hear that?
They do that.
Not a
thing-
sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
They do that thing. Cover St. Louis. What is that called? It's the show where
Undercover Weekend.
Undercover Weekend.
They don't
If
do
you,
it anymore.
If you guys did that, what band would you do?
What is Undercover
So
Weekend?
you have to play a set as another band. as a
Yes,
famous band.
you take on another band and you play
a whole set of their music.
Dude,
I guess it
come
was
on, man.
5
What would
songs, maybe
30 minutes usually.
30 minutes. It became a really big thing. They were always sold out,
Yeah.
packed, and it was fun.
Yeah,
What-
so
who
What
would you,
cat is this?
Who would you want
It's
to do?
all up on me and making me allergic.
Are you allergic to him?
I'm allergic. Yeah, dude.
Oh, well,
Oh, you
I-
didn't-
But he's
that
nice.
cat is
I'm
like
gonna pet him
grinding
anyway.
its ass on
I'm
you.
already sitting in tons of cat hair.
Yeah,
so
I'm allergic to cat. Meanwhile, that cat's like right up in your face.
yeah.
that's why he chose you.
He's
Buddy, he
cheesing me
knows.
too.
Down.
His ass is all up
Yeah,
on me.
he knows.
It's all right. It's
did you call him Buddy and then say down?
What's
Have
his
you ever
name?
met a cat?
Well, I wasn't talking to the cat.
That's
Oh.
King. I was looking for Hans, and that's why King is all.
I think Hans is the one that hissed at me.
His name's
'Cause
Jake.
This guy's really.
Or-
This guy's
his name's-
nice.
His name's Tyler. You can call him T-Dog.
T-Dog.
I was looking at Jake.
So yeah, so my band Too Deep with Lucius from the
Uh-huh.
podcast, we did the White Stripes one year because we were a
Okay.
2-piece already. We kind of started the band so that we could eventually have that opportunity. It took a couple of years. And then the following year we did Madonna with our friend
that's
Kim,
pretty
and it
good.
was great. It was a good time. And so by
That
the
would be
end,
good.
it was like each weekend was or each night was a different decade
I like
of
that.
artists.
That's cool.
Eric, have you ever played that?
No, I did not. Every band I had always split up before that could happen.
Whoops. So what would you do if you had your choice?
It would definitely. I would probably say we should. Like, I would pick something from the '80s, but then give it a garagey vibe.
Mm. So what kind of 80s are we talking about? We're talking about like New Order? We talking
Poison.
Poison?
No, not Poison.
Something that doesn't have a rock edge to it, probably, and then taking some of the polish of the '80s off of it and putting,
And then giving it a rock edge.
yeah,
Okay.
like
Like a,
Smiths or
no, I
There's
don't
a
think
lot
it
of
could be
time
hard
for
to cover that kind of stuff, but maybe like the Fix.
okay.
It had a lot of hits.
Mhm.
Yeah.
More than I think people realize.
I
And I think it would be cool to strip it down to kind of basic rock elements.
Right.
I think the Fix is playing with English Beat.
English Beat, I
I
saw
gotta
that.
go to that show, dude.
Yeah, I actually want to go to Squeeze.
Oh yeah, we
That's
should do
another
both
good
of
one.
those,
That's
yeah.
they're great still alive. I watched some videos because of course you get the older bands and it's like I think I'm gonna look up a video first before I buy these tickets.
But I find that those shows usually tend to be really great because they've just had so much time to get it right. You know, they're
Well,
like,
and they invest in it. They make it easy on themselves. Like I saw Ringo's All Star Band one
Yeah.
time, and all his band guys were like guys that were famous in like the '80s mostly. Like Steve Lukather from Toto was the guitar player, and the bassist was the frontman of Mr. Mister.
oh yeah,
And we all went to go get beers when he put on an acoustic guitar and played a new Mr. Mister song.
Ooh,
That
those are the worst.
I was like, you
How'd
know
that
what? All of
go?
a sudden, $9 for a Bud Light doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah.
happened to me on several times, but one of the funniest times was I was out at whatever they call it now, Hollywood Amphitheater,
Mhm.
And-
Riverport.
Riverport, and
The lawn.
my mom had given me tickets. Somebody got them for her or whatever for Jethro Tull, and I'm like,
Mhm.
whatever, I'll go out and go see Jethro Tull. So Jethro Tull sucked bad because basically Ian Anderson, the singer, they basically did a medley of the hits for 15 minutes, and then everything else was from the new album. So I remember he's like, yeah, it's a new one from the
Pearl Jam
new
goes with
album.
10.
Other people figured this out.
The next thing you know, everybody's buying beer, and I had to go to the bathroom, and all the dudes are peeing in the sinks because there was lines
Woof.
out the door because nobody wanted to listen to anything from Jethro Tull of that decade, of the current decade.
Understandable.
Like a lot of bands figured this out though. Like I was mentioning before, real like kid pop music in the '90s was kind of my introduction into music in the first place. And we saw the Backstreet Boys a couple years ago.
Mm,
My wife and I and all of our girlfriends, and I let my wife pick the seats, so they were really nice.
nice.
And they had done a Las Vegas residency a couple years before, and so they really figured out how to pace the show. And we're going to pair this outfit change with this 90 seconds of this one guy doing one part of this song. And then it was a really smooth show. There was not a lot of downtime.
Mhm.
It was really great. Primus was also the same way. They were going to play their new album in full, but they did like 45 minutes of the hits first, and it was
Yeah.
their original lineup again or whatever. When
How was
my wife and I
Primus
saw them.
live?
So good.
So
I
good.
bet,
And we
yeah.
saw
Best
we
band
watched two
ever
songs
seen.
from the new album, and we had already seen 45 minutes of hits, and we said, okay, we did it. We did the thing. We can go. And so like bands that do it that way are really great. Now there's also really bad examples.
My sister saw Primus at Red Rocks, and she doesn't even like Primus, and I've never
That's-
gotten over that.
that's-
it's
yeah.
bull.
That would I'd have to score some hard drugs just because of that opportunity.
Well, sure. They're kind of,
So when we play at the Heavy Anchor, it's all new material. So is everybody just
July
going to be
24th.
outside and going to the bathroom
yeah, it's cigarette break
all night?
all night.
You know,
The
it's
whole
so funny.
set.
They're
The whole
talking
time.
about building they have a little patio where everyone smokes. It's right behind where the stage
It's a
is.
big area now.
Did they expand it?
Yeah, it's all around the side of the building.
I
and
didn't know
everything.
that. And so she wants to add a cover thing to it. So now
I
it's going to be
saw.
like, why go inside? I'm going to pay the cover to have access to the bathroom and the
Balls,
patio
kitty.
And
Yeah.
then sit undercover.
and sit under the covered patio. And
Right.
you get a TJ's Pizza. You could set up your whole life there. They do a farmer's market on Wednesdays.
TJ's Pizza. It's like high school sale pizza.
Is that maybe I'm thinking of something else? But
No, I think that's what they serve there.
is that what it is?
I think so.
That's
What is
gonna-
TJ's Pizza?
It's just a
it used
thin
to be
crust
like a fundraiser, like
fundraiser pizzas, you know, where
Oh yeah.
They were good. They had
your
Provo.
baseball team would
Oh,
get a
Provo.
catalog, and you go around to all of your family and say, please, if you ever loved me in your life, buy this
Yeah.
$9 shitty frozen pizza, and then 6 months later you'd get it.
and then
and
take
then-
it to them.
Yeah, and then you have to put it in the freezer in the nurse's office because you got to disperse them all through the building throughout the day.
Dude, you got this down like you've done this.
Yeah, I worked in schools for 10 years after going in
Yeah.
them for too long. So I mean,
Yeah.
you get good at that.
Frozen pizza day.
I bought a lot of gummy bears and fucking caramel popcorn and shit. We should
You
do that
cat's
tomorrow. We
biting
don't
me.
have merch yet, so
I've
we
been
should.
petting you and you're
Guys, Saturday at the Heavy Anchor, come see us for a TJ's Pizza. We're funding the vinyl drop of our new record, and we need to sell 1 million TJ's pizzas.
I'm gonna store them in the nurse's.
Yeah, vinyl production's pretty pricey, so
Yeah, holy
we gotta
crap.
we gotta sell a lot of TJs.
Yeah, it really is. This whole process has been kind of an endeavor where we decided that we weren't going to cut any corners. I think I said that earlier. So, we booked the studio. We, there were some overdubs there were some, just tracks that we weren't super happy with. And we spent the time to go back and get them all done. And
Chinese
So-
democracy.
it's basically Chinese democracy.
Yeah, we were at fucking never mind. I can't. Ocean Way. We were at fucking Ocean Way at $1,000 a day with Buckethead,
$1,000
just
a day.
trying to figure it out.
Well, yeah, Buckethead played with Les Claypool.
He played on Chinese Democracy as well.
I know he did. Yeah. So one of the best shows I've ever seen was Buckethead. And
Was it just his full stack at his MPC?
Yeah.
I wanted to see that so bad. He did that at 2720 here, and my buddy went and said it was awesome. He was also probably like snorting Adderall the whole time, so I bet it was. But he just like hit a button on his sampler and then shred over the track.
It was unreal. He's such an incredible performer, and it was $14. It was like the best show ever. But
I saw a show like that with Tom Morello once.
oh yeah,
So he was with
Street Sweeper Social
Yes,
Club at
over at Pops.
They flew in for that one.
yeah, that was an amazing show, and there was 300 people there,
oh
and it was fantastic. It was Tom Morello was like right in front of me.
yeah, dude. Just to be in the same room as that guy, like,
Really similar show. I did Jack Johnson at Borders when Borders was still around.
okay.
That was a
You
great
saw
show.
Jack Johnson at a Borders?
Yeah, at Borders.
That's intimate as fuck.
Yeah, it was pretty good. A lot
I
of
did really
kids.
I saw Matt Nathanson at Streetside Records.
So was he at the cafe part of?
He was at the
Borders?
cafe party. It was kind of like, but it wasn't Starbucks yet.
Was it just a guy that was named Jack Johnson that you saw? Like
I'm
they
not
called
sure
out
if
his
it was
name.
the actual Jack
They were
Johnson.
like, I've got a chai tea for Jack Johnson,
Johnson.
and you were just like, there he is.
There he's the guy.
I saw him.
There's the guy. And he had a
Live.
guitar.
Here he is.
Yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Really? You didn't mean any of that?
Well, I didn't think. I thought it was trailing
I'm
off.
glad you're back. I missed you while you were gone.
I thought he was trailing off.
Guess who's back?
So you decided to make up a story about seeing Jack Johnson at Borders? But
I
you
did
didn't mean to
actually
interrupt.
see Jack Johnson at Borders, but we were talking about people who use drum machines, and that's what he did. He used like a karaoke machine. It
So he
wasn't
When
really
was
played at
this?
He
Borders?
played at Borders to promote Curious George, which ended up going platinum. That soundtrack.
I'm going to let you live in this
Yeah.
for a minute. I gotta do it again.
So somebody was like, hey, Jack Johnson's playing at Borders. He's going to do
Let's
Curious
go.
George.
That was my mom. She wanted to go see him. A lot of kids were there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a hell of a show.
I didn't know that he
was
did the
there?
Curious
Lot of
George. So what was the pit like?
That's
yeah.
covered a White Stripes song for that.
Yeah.
Oh right,
That was, part of the White Platinum.
What White Stripes song? Did you get a Splinter?
the kindergarten one.
Yeah.
We Could Be Friends?
The Elephant
Yes,
Record.
Yeah, he covered that.
Okay.
So you would be the fix.
I was just pulling that out of my ass. I mean, in general, there's so many different bands that we could do a take on, or I, would. But
Mine would have to be, my favorite record ever is, or my favorite couple records are the first couple Weezer records, and I think it influences our sound a lot, and
That's a good one.
I would
That's a good
love
one.
to do it.
that was the Onion one time put out a article about Weezer releases new 10 album box set of the Blue album, and that was it.
There was a Hard Times news the other day that said, "I wish somebody loved me as much as Weezer fans hate Weezer," which is great.
That's awesome.
But that would be kind of what I would want to do. I think it'd be hard to do our own take on it, but maybe it would give us an opportunity to change.
yeah,
things
they're already
up,
so stripped down.
Yeah, well, and just big guitars and rock and roll drums. So, but I don't know if I could really stray too much. We all like Cake a lot too, for the most part.
Ooh.
So that would be a fun one.
That'd be a
to
good
do.
one. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, because you couldn't if you didn't have the trumpet, you could do all kinds of things.
Yeah. Good to know.
They hate this podcast. They try to derail it every opportunity.
Is it just this podcast, Jake, or is it all of the podcasts that they hate? Jake is wading through
Jake
the
is
cans to
tripping
get back
over
to the
trash.
control module
Not
here.
easy.
Like, is this how all the podcasts feel? Like Joe has to like step in to try and make things interesting.
No, it's interesting. You guys were do your job.
We got
I'm a little-
Joe's stamp
when I
of
go to
approval.
pee.
No. Just like
Because that's when that happens. So that's when he does his most problematic material.
Yeah,
I know he's a liability.
yeah, it really is.
So we've been at this a long time, and there's so much more we could talk about. There's so much more in store, and
It was the Hard Times that did it. The Ultimate Weezer box set is just 12 copies of the Blue album.
It's so good.
It's
so
funny.
Blinded by Stereo, new power pop garage kind of forward rock band, St. Louis, debuting for everyone other than VPs at Enterprise Saturday at the Heavy Anchor, July 24th, opening for Youth and Canvas. Music starts at 8:00. Do not be late. We should do this again. We achieved some Holy Spirit there.
we could do a follow-up podcast after the show. After the show.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could just go around with a microphone, but no camera. Just like, how do you feel about the show?
Oh, we should
To
do
the audience? That's a good.
Yeah, I can do the audience.
To the audience.
I don't know if I like that idea.
You have a tape machine.
I don't
We
want to
don't
know
have
what the
to
audience.
publish it. We just, it's the,
Yeah.
you have to collect, you have to have evidence of voice, but you don't have to employ any of it.
Yeah, maybe we could do like a live poll during the show. And just, are you having? That's what we could do. I could say, "Is everybody having a good time?" And then people would respond.
That'd
No.
be groundbreaking.
Hello, Bevo.
Vote on the app.
Hello.
What's up, Bevo?
What is Bevo, by the way?
That's that
The
neighborhood.
Bevo Mill.
There's a
Oh.
big mill at the end of the
Because people
block.
keep asking me where it is. And I'm like, St. Louis, Missouri, because I'm not a native.
Bevo.
And
It's on Gravway.
Bevo Mill.
Bevo Mill.
I've never heard of it
and the
either.
Bevo Mill was built for August Bush, and he would stop there on his horse and buggy on his way out
And he'd
to
rape a slave.
maybe.
Wow.
That was like, seriously, those
I'm
people
the
are hard.
problematic
on
one.
And he would take Gravois all the way out to Grant's farm.
And then
And
that's where
so
the
he
real
would stop
horrors
at
were in
Bevo. He
store.
had Bevo built so he could stop there from the brewery and have beers and then continue riding out to.
So he built himself a waypoint
Yeah.
to drink beer.
Yep.
And allegedly.
Guy had to
and
figure it out.
allegedly attack the help. You can look it up.
Oh, so you weren't just riffing there. That's a
That's a thing.
thing.
That's an
mean,
educated
he
guess.
is a school teacher, you know.
You just said we could look it up, but it's an educated guess?
I didn't look it up. I said you can look it up.
Oh, I got you.
I bet you'll find some shit. I bet you he was up to no good.
Okay, so you're
You certainly implied that.
You're delegating research is what you're doing.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll put that on anything. I'll go to war with the whole Bush family. I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
That would be a real boost for me. If I could get those headlines. Local podcaster fucking murdered by
That's
the
why-
Bush family.
That's why I think
You
cancel.
know how good the Patreon would debut if I got murdered by Augie Bush Jr.
Well, they've got
the
that
third?
InBev money now, dude. They can,
They'll send a Dutch
Yeah.
assassin in a drone.
yeah.
Haven't the Bushes had some murder kind of stuff going
That's
on?
what I'm fucking saying.
Out in
They
the
were
coun-
raping slaves and they crash helicopters when they're drunk.
Yes, out in Frontenac.
The one
JFK.
fucking crashed his own helicopter. He like crash landed his helicopter hammered drunk.
Yeah, another
I
one
think
killed.
that's the Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm not joking. It really
Wolf
happened.
of Wall
It's
Street.
Wolf of Wall Street.
out in Frontenac, some girl died in the mansion. It was
That was Tommy Lee.
No, we're not joking. This is old.
Lee
This is,
Harvey
this is local
Oswald.
dogma, brother.
it
Oh.
happened probably 20 years ago.
Oh.
Oh, here's the thing. I was thinking about this because my stepdad is a great guy and taught me a lot. And he also does this thing where he's like, fucking 20 fucking years ago. And I have to remind him, Donnie, It's 2021. So when you say 20 years ago, he means 40 years ago.
I do that too, though.
Like he is thinking that 1973, brother, 20 years ago. I'm like, that was like fucking 100 years ago, dog.
Yeah, but they made such a big deal about the new millennium that I feel like
I had a hat.
gauge.
I had a baseball hat. It was blue with a red bill, and it had a little digital clock counting down to the millennium.
Pretty much. So I wish do you have that? Can you wear that at the show?
No, everyone always asks me that. I don't have it anymore.
So I feel like anything that
everyone asked me that.
Yeah,
Everybody.
the year 2000 is like the Mendoza line because I think they made such a big deal of it that now when I think of something that's new, I'm like, if it's after the year 2000, I'm like, oh yeah, that new record by those guys, it's like it's from 2002.
Some of my favorite stuff is like you realize, oh my god, that's going to be 20 years old, but it happened again, like you said, like after 9/11 when the war crimes.
Yeah.
And Halliburton, we've talked about it on the show before. We don't have time. Tyler has to go to bed.
Yeah, Tyler's sleepy.
That's for the follow-up episode. That's fine.
I mean, we need to follow up on that. Will you write this down? We need to do the whole. We're just gonna go frame by frame through Loose Change, and we're gonna do a live
reaction video. Maybe?
Reaction.
Did we ever get the thermodynamics figured out? Or?
We're gonna put a pin in that though.
Yeah, I think Snopes got a hold of that. And
Media Matters and the globalist agenda.
They fucked my shit right up.
Drudge Report.
The Drudge Report.
Debunked it.
Here we go.
Yeah, and that guy lives in a bunker. I mean, what's he know that I don't know?
So you know that the podcast is going well when the engineer is packing up his things while you're talking.
Thinking about doing it earlier.
That's good.
Just
Yeah,
saying it's time to go.
No, that's good. Yeah.
Blinded by Stereo, Saturday night, The Heavy Anchor. That's July 24th. Thank you for listening to Jacob V Weekly. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts: Spotify, Deezer, Dozer, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Again, original music by Jacob V on all those same platforms. Launching tomorrow, patreon.com/Jacob V. Exclusive material. We got the rest of the year kind of booked out already. It looks like. What month is it? And again, Blinded by Stereo, new record coming very, very, very soon. We did it. Be safe. High five.